Welcome to Real Estate Coaching Radio, starring award-winning real estate coaches and #1 international best-selling authors, Tim and Julie Harris. This is the #1 daily radio show for realtors looking for a no BS, authentic, real-time coaching experience. What's really working in today's market, how to generate more leads, make more money, and have more time for what you love in your life. And now your hosts, Tim and Julie Harris.
Welcome back. Today we're talking about your mindset. Specifically, we're talking about the fact that your mindset matters and how the wealthy harness abundance over scarcity. Now, of course, many of you have been exposed to the concept of having an abundance mindset versus a scarcity mindset, but you maybe have not heard Julie and I's version of it. And obviously, it's going to be practical and tactical, with the end result being you're going to be able to put this information directly into action. Now, speaking of action, we have gotten a lot of good questions from folks that are wanting to participate in the Ask Me Anything podcast. So in case you didn't hear, we were wanting to do a podcast every single week, probably on Friday. And we might even do a Facebook Live or might even do Instagram Live, something. And then the point is we're going to be answering your questions. So if you've got a question that you'd like to be considered for Ask Me Anything, we're going to probably do our first one, this Friday. And the Ask Me Anything is going to be where you can ask us a question about anything. Now, anything means obviously starting with real estate, maybe financial stuff, maybe wealth building, maybe relationships, maybe who knows what, right? I mean, I think those of you who have been attached to us for a long period of time know that Julie and I do a lot of reading. We're very introspective. We've spent a lot of time really, I think, honing in our ability to help other people from having done hundreds of thousands of coaching calls over the last, couple decades. So we do have an ability to, answer probably just about anything you might ask us. That said, if you do ask us something that we don't have the answer for, we will follow our own coaching advice and say, that's a great question. Let me research that. I'll get back with you.
Yes.
But in the meantime, do send your potential Ask Me Anything questions to my text. Text me directly. Do not call. Please do text 512-758-0206, 512-758-0206. And also, please do include your name, the market in which you sell real estate, and your phone number. And, is it okay that we'll say, hey, Sally from Peoria, and here's her phone number if you have any referrals going that direction. So we could, reciprocate from you having asked us a question by potentially sending you some referral fee-free leads. So let us know. Just text me directly your potential Ask Me Anything questions at 512-758-0206.
And today we're going to talk about having an abundance mindset. But before we get to that, we're going to look at the opposite, which is called the scarcity mentality.
Now, Julie did warn me prior to me hitting the record button. She said, quote unquote, get through the first part of this content fast because it's pretty depressing. So I'm warning you like she warned me.
I want to get to the abundance part.
Okay.
I'm so trained out of thinking scarcity that it gives me anxiety. Okay. Many individuals are firmly entrenched in the scarcity mentality and probably don't even know it. They perceive life as a limited resource, akin to a single pie to be divided amongst everyone. Consequently, if one person claims a large slice of the pie, it's believed to leave less for everyone else. That's why it's called scarcity mindset. This mindset operates on a zero-sum paradigm where one's success is viewed as directly detracting from the opportunities available to others. Individuals with a scarcity mentality struggle to share recognition, credit, power, or profit, even with those who contribute to their achievements. Moreover, they find it challenging to celebrate the success of others genuinely. If you have a scarcity mindset, you believe that money, friends, success, and promotion are scarce.
Do you remember that movie with Daniel Day-Lewis in it, where he was playing the guy who worked at who was essentially an oil baron?
Oh yes.
And he's sitting outside talking with his not real brother but supposed brother, and he said, "I have a competition in me."
I do remember that.
Some of you guys who are movie buffs, you know what I'm talking about. Where he basically said he can't stand when other people win, and it drives him crazy, and he blamed it on competition. But the reality of it is that was definitely, I think, a living, breathing example, very well portrayed by Daniel Day-Lewis, of a scarcity mindset. And again, to really underline what Julie's saying, the belief that because somebody else has means you cannot have. In other words, there's only so much to go around of whatever it is. In some examples, that is true. There are already so many listings that can be available in your marketplace. So you better be really good at winning those listings or winning those sales or
finding them.
Yeah, exactly. So competition is real, but to believe that there's only so much to go around is fake. And it is something that is holding all of us back.
And that scarcity mindset affects your thoughts, your actions, your outlook, as well as your perception of and by everyone else. The scarcity mindset keeps you from saving. You find it challenging to save time and money because both are scarce. If you have either, you spend it immediately before something happens to it. So let's test quickly to see if you have some scarcity mentality tendencies. Now, some of you will only have these tendencies when you're tired or you're hungry or you're out of leads or something weird happened to you. Others of you, you don't even realize it, but it's a bit of a lifestyle.
But
so we'll get through these 11.
Some of you are tired, hungry, out of leads, and not financially successful because of the scarcity mindset.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is one of these switches that once you flip it, you'll never go back.
That's right. So pay attention and write down, circle, underline, whichever ones of these you're falling into. There are 11 ways. There's more, but these are the most obvious, and I don't want to dwell on them. So if you're scarcity minded, we'll find out in your real estate practice. Now, note to self, if you can answer yes to even half of these, you have a mindset challenge that must be corrected before you can reach your next level. That's just a fact.
You can be successful with a scarcity mindset. I gave you an example from that movie Julie and I watched, but you'll only go so far. You might find yourself being super successful, but having no personal relationships.
Being miserable.
Or giving up your health or all the other things. So, again, abundance versus scarcity.
And after the test, we'll get to the good stuff as promised, the mindset of abundance. So a quick 11 things. Pay attention if this affects you. Scarcity mindset things. Number 1, you have no savings, ever. If you do, it's maybe for a couple of weeks, sometimes as scarce as a couple of hours.
And how many people in the United States even have $1,000 saved? It's because every time they get money, they go out and spend it because they don't believe they'll have the money again. And that's how all of us, look, you can say we're all manipulated and trained to think that way, but the truth is that's an evolutionary, or that's essentially how humans have most always been. So when you have the meat, right, from having been out with your hunting tribe, you're going to eat that meat or it's going to spoil.
Or somebody's going to steal it.
Or exactly. You see how this sort of, there's genetic precepts that enter into all of these mindset issues. It's fascinating if you think about it. But many of you aren't as nerdy as we are, so we won't think about it
That's why
on
you
the
have
podcast.
Us. All right, point number 2, with regards to real estate specifically, you believe there's only so much money to go around and often get into conflict over commissions, both with clients and other agents. You're a big fan of the procuring cause argument. I had the lead first. I have to write the deal. I need the commission. Point number 3, or possibility number 3, of a scarcity mindset. You don't use a buyer's agency agreement because you're afraid of losing the commission to an agent who doesn't use agency agreements. Now, fortunately, this particular issue is no longer up to you as of July this year, but that has been in the past an indicator of a scarcity mentality. Number 4, you lose listings over sticking to your guns on commissions.
Well, you said that in the previous point, but I'll even say sticking to your guns as far as it's my price,
That's right. You'd rather be right or righteous about your price than to give a little to make the deal happen, or to have some flexibility and have a plan, things that we teach in coaching. All right, number 5, you're immune to goal setting and feel you're above it. You might say things like, goal setting isn't for me. It's not my jam. I never do it. Number 6, you often get outbid on competitive buyer offers because you feel the buyers don't have the money to bid high enough to win. You're feeling like you almost feel guilty asking them to go high enough to actually win. Then you blame the buyer, the market, the other agent, or the seller for your deal not happening. If you do get something in contract, of course, it's always because of you, your expertise, your experience, your abilities. No one else is given credit or congratulations.
So when somebody else has success and somebody drives by, like I'll never forget this. I was and I won't even say who it was because they listened to the podcast. But it was somebody before I started coaching when I helped them move past this. But we were standing on a street corner. I think it was in San Francisco. And there was a really nice car that drove by. And it was obviously it was a big bunch of realtors. And one of them said, imagine all the people he had to screw to get that car. Or imagine all the, that type of mindset. I don't remember what his exact words were, but that was the essence of it. So his mindset was that in order for that person to drive by and whatever that car was, that he had to take from other people. That is a really bad scarcity mindset. Because how does that translate to his real life? How does that translate to him wanting to be successful? What happens is a scarcity mindset in a lot of ways. It becomes like a comfortable sweater. You never want to take it off because it's always an excuse not to ever force yourself or give yourself permission to become the best version of yourself as a real estate practitioner. Because after all, why would you want to learn how to go after expired listings? Or why would you want to learn how to actually help more people if you're believing there's only so much to go around? What's the damn point?
Well, exactly. Another iteration of that, one of my elite coaching clients was at an award ceremony and was getting number 1 or number 2 at something. And overheard another agent say, well, I'm sure she doesn't spend any time with her family.
Well, these people, those little
Jabs.
We used to hear that constantly.
Yes.
I mean, that was the thing. Anytime you become more successful, even a tiny bit more successful, you're going to hear all these, I'm sarcastic here if you didn't pick it up. All these well-intentioned do-gooders giving you all this little advice, stop and smell the roses, and, whatever. Those are all people that are not wanting to actually you to succeed. They want you to be just like them because they have a scarcity mindset. They think that if you sold 10 times the houses that they did, at least some of the transactions you did should have been theirs.
That's scarcity for you. Another way this manifests, number 7, you always do free training and 30-day trials and get free scripts on the internet and do Facebook surveys rather than investing in actual education. You are possibly uncoachable. You believe online free stuff is good enough. Or maybe even don't go that far and just make up all of your own stuff.
Well, it's because you have a bunch of false starts. And basically, even if you start with Premier Coaching, which we do give you free for the first 30 days, and then you don't progress in the coaching program, you're going to say, well, I tried Premier Coaching. No, you didn't. You didn't get past the first level. There's 12 levels, and most people stay in Premier Coaching for years.
You didn't mentally invest.
Right. And so you're saying, well, it didn't work for me, feeding your scarcity mindset.
Yes, which leads to number 8. You're skeptical. Everyone is just out to make a buck rather than trying to help you, support you, or provide a legitimate service. You already know everything anyway.
Well, I've never met a rich skeptic.
Neither have I.
Right. So you guys should remember that. You cannot be rich, and I do mean in the literal sense where your money's working for you. You no longer have to work for your money if you are a skeptic. It is impossible because you are going to see scarcity everywhere and everyone's trying to take from you and your world's going to get smaller and smaller and smaller. And that is the ultimate plague that scarcity-minded people create for themselves. As they grow older, and sometimes older is in your 30s or your 40s, your world gets smaller and smaller and smaller.
I told you this would be exhausting until we get to the abundance mindset. Number 9, you tend to be a grudge holder too. It's never your fault, ever, for any reason. Number 10, you feel the world owes you and somehow you're being cheated. You're perceived as negative and even angry. You get ghosted a fair amount of the time.
Well, you hear this with people that have all these fancy college degrees and have all the student loans and, figure that, well, just because they follow the prescribed path to success that they get out of college and the world should just be opening itself up and they should be able to, write their own check and become the best of the whatever, right? Those are, this is all part and parcel of the same faulty thinking.
Scarcity mindset. Number 11, you'll like this one. You hate doing what you don't want to do when you don't have to do it, and you rarely do it at a high level, if you do it at all. Okay, so, wow, this is exhausting just talking about being scarcity minded. Yuck. Do these 11 points deplete you the way they deplete me and Tim? Imagine what it's like to have a few coaching calls in a row like this. It's our job to move you forward so you'll never catch our coaches getting into this kind of mud with you. Failure is not an option. It's only a matter of how much success and how quickly we can get you out of scarcity. So if you checked off any of those things, and a lot of times you only fall into that sometimes. You had a bad week, you get stuck in the mud, that's okay. Make the commitment to get out of scarcity and into abundance. So we're going to talk about that next. This mindset, the abundance mindset, stems from a deep-rooted feeling of self-worth and security.
Which you have to earn. You are not born with either a sense of self-worth or security. You have to earn that in the real estate business, keeping this practical and tactical, from the skills you've acquired, from the customers you've successfully helped transact. That's where it comes from. You cannot, brand your way to actually having a real sense of self-worth and security. You know it's fake. You'll sense it's fake. They'll sense that you're actually a pretender.
The abundance mindset is the belief that there is an abundance of opportunities out there for everyone with plenty to spare. It's the belief that there's plenty of pie for everyone. With an abundance mentality, you understand there's more than enough pie to go around. You operate from a place of service, knowing that when you lift others up, you'll rise with them. It's not just about making a buck. It's about creating abundance for yourself and those around you. You're actively pursuing best practices. You're upgrading everything from your mindset to your skill set with enthusiasm. You understand that your income directly results from helping your clients achieve their goals so you can achieve your goals.
Okay, so what comes first? Now think about this. You're going to work on your mindset, and after you've got your mindset in a perfect position, then you're going to take action and finally do what you don't want to do when you don't want to do it at the highest level. I'm going to shave a whole bunch of, learning curve off for all of you. It never works out that way. But everybody and their brother and their dog Bob, sorry Bob, you're now a dog, wants you to believe that you have to work on your mindset before you're supposed to get into action. Do you know why, listeners? Because they don't know how to teach you how to get into action, help people make money selling real estate. But the mindset stuff is prolific. Everybody, go to Barnes and Noble. Remember, there were bookstores. They still exist here and there.
And they have a section for self-help.
Go to self-help, self-improvement, and you're going to see this line of books, thousands of books that are all basically the same thing. And sometimes our book is usually on the opposite side of the bookshelf, which is kind of funny. But sometimes it's on the same section. And I remember last time you and I were, I forget what town we were in, and our book was sitting next to, what was it? Crypto Dad,
yeah.
I thought that was funny.
You never know where it's going to turn up.
In any event, the point is that these self-help books people are addicted to it. That's the reason that people are constantly going from mindset guru to mindset guru, because they're wanting to feel like they're actually progressing. Because once I get all my mindset demons, finally slayed, then I'm going to start doing then I can finally be successful. Then I can finally lose some weight. Then I can fix my relationships. I have wonderful news for all of you who are finally tired of thinking like that. The exact opposite is true. So, for example, if you want to become really successful helping people and making lots of money selling real estate, go do the hard stuff first. Do what you don't want to do when you don't want to do it at the highest level. In action, while you're in action, let's just use something that all of you are, you hate doing, actually picking up the phone and making calls. When you're doing that, you're seeing yourself doing it. You're hearing yourself doing it. You're feeling yourself doing it. You get better, you get better, you get better. You know what then changes? Your mindset. Don't wait to have your mindset be in perfect order and then get into action. Do the action first. The physical activity actually changes the emotional response. You know who I learned that from?
Dr. Laura, I think.
Yeah, and I'm very tempted to give the exact call as to what she was. You think I should?
You can. I'm sure it'll help some people.
All right. Well, okay. I will. So Dr. Laura Schlesinger is somebody that Julie and I dearly love. We've been married for 33 years this year, and we used to listen to her every single day on the radio, and it was absolutely wonderful. She was like the caring, loving mom that, who knew all the right answers to say. And by listening to the people that were calling into her talk show and asking her questions, we could kind of it was like foreshadowing what we might be dealing with in 10 or 15 years. So one of the calls that she got in, and this is directly related to what we were just telling you, was a lady that was calling in and saying basically, first of all, she started out by saying, I just don't think, my relationship with my husband isn't what it used to be. And we used to be like rabbits and all the rest of it. You guys know what I'm talking about. And Laura said, well, how long have you been married? Oh, 15 years. And so your expectation, this is Laura, was that every single year was going to be like when you guys first met in your honeymoon? No. And Laura started talking about her husband who just, who passed away. And she started saying, here's the reality of marriage. Some days you feel like this. Some years you feel like this. It comes and goes. The nature of the wedding vows and the nature of being married is that it's going to be, it's never a complete.
It's dynamic.
It's dynamic, exactly. And then the lady asked the secondary question about sex. She said, well, me and my husband are having sex, and we haven't had sex for a long time. Obviously, her estrangement emotionally from her husband probably is related to their lack of intimacy. Let's just assume. So this is what Laura said, and this is the whole point of this story. That she then said, here's what you're going to do. And she gave this lady a perfect prescription for basically livening up their boudoir, if I'm saying it right.
Making an effort to be more intimate.
Right, making an effort, because the lady wasn't making effort. Laura asked her, I remember as I'm telling you guys this, what would you wear at night when your husband comes home from work? Sweatpants that I haven't washed in 2 weeks with gravy stains on them, just the whole thing. And Laura says, well, that's clearly not going to be sending him the types of messages that's going to result in the intimacy that you're hoping to accomplish. How did you dress when you guys were courting and when you got married? And how did you look? How did you present yourself? Did you take a shower every day? Those types of things. I'm trying to make you guys laugh, but you get the gist of it. So then Laura gave her a prescription. This is what I want you to do. I want you to wear this, do this, smell like this, bathe like this, groom yourself like this. I want you to do boom, bada, boom, bada, boom. And Leigh said, I just don't feel like it. I don't feel like being intimate with my husband. Oh, it's been so long. We must be caught in this downward spiral. Maybe we should just get divorced, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so this is Laura said, okay, listen, do what I just said and call me back in a week. Julie and I listen every day. Sure enough, this lady calls back in a week, and her voice sounded different. She sounded like she was younger. Because you can imagine what her and her husband have been up to, right? Right? So she was resilient. She was happy. She was excited. She said, "Oh my gosh, this is what happened. I completely surprised him when he came home, and I had dinner made. I had all this romantic, all these things planned. And it was one of the best experiences. And then every night since, we've been not necessarily, getting busy, but we've been doing other things, spending time with each other, reconnecting. Guys, this was only 7 days later. And so Laura said, and, Laura let this lady tell her stories. And, it wasn't X-rated or anything, fortunately, but you guys get the gist of it. And then it circled the bend. And then Laura said, well, here's what you hopefully are taking away from this. She's speaking to all of us listening. She said, your emotional state follows your physical actions. Your emotional state follows your physical actions. We talked yesterday about our Navy SEAL friends who used to be SEAL Team 6 and also were BUDS trainers. Those guys entering into this, wanting to be SEALs, none of them had the emotional state, but they got them into physical action. They got them doing BUDS training. They got them doing all the horrible things they have to do in order to even qualify to be a Navy SEAL. And guess what followed? Their emotional state. They became more confident from doing what they didn't want to do when they didn't want to do it at the highest level. This lady saved her marriage. It sounded like she had a hell of a lot of fun from doing what she didn't want to do when she didn't want to do it at the highest level. Are you guys understanding where we're going with all these points?
They led with action, not emotion.
Right.
They owned it too, because they had to be the one that took the first step in order to get closer to what they wanted.
Now, if Julie and I wanted to make a hell of a lot more money, I wouldn't have said anything that I just said to you. I would be saying, here's the mindset things. Read this book. Let's go to a meditation retreat. Here's the this, that, the others. Let's work on your dream boards. I would say the same things that virtually everybody else says, because it always leaves you dependent. If you're sucking up this mindset stuff and you're constantly, going back to the well, I have an never-ending stream of stuff I can sell you. But Julie, we want you to be independent, not dependent. So we're going to give you real information that you take real action on, because we feel that doing it the other way is out of integrity. And frankly, a lot of that mindset stuff is 100% woo-woo, pseudoscience, made up, fakery, and we want nothing to do with it.
Yeah, you'll starve, you'll fail out of real estate, you maybe fail out of life, but in the time it takes for you to get to the next mindset thingy.
Since we're on this, I'm going to say something I find this really, troubling. I'll listen to a podcast or whatever. We'll listen to and you'll have somebody who's very successful, and they won't ever talk about the grind. They won't talk about the suck.
I hate that too.
They are lying, and what they'll do is they'll try to tell, or they've forgotten in their defense what it really entailed, which is probably at least 50% of it. They're going to try to talk about themselves as there's some sort of mystical deity where somehow all the stars just align. When people talk about Steve Jobs like that, I think to myself, you are an idiot, because Steve Jobs is anyone who has ever been associated, actually worked at Apple during the era when he was running it. He was brutal on himself and brutal on everyone else, and he was working harder than anyone else. I mean, look at Elon Musk. Look at anyone who's ever accomplished anything. It's because they've done long periods of time, usually decades, listeners, of doing what they didn't want to do and they didn't want to do at the highest level. And what makes you think you can shortcut any of that? You can't.
That's one of the reasons why you and I listen to biographies, is because that goes back to the beginning of somebody's history where maybe all you knew about them is that they were super successful, but it shows you how they got there and the struggles that it took along the way.
Honestly, it depends on who's writing the biography.
I agree with that too, because there's spin on that too.
Exactly. If the person writing the biography comes with biases, like I remember listening to Steve Jobs' biography that I forget that Walter Isaacson wrote it, and he was talking about he was injecting his own values into it. And then he started saying, Steve Jobs really neglected his relationships with his family and all these other types of things. Dude, that's your headspace garbage. You didn't ask his family. You didn't go and ask his Lisa and his. When you hear Steve Jobs' wife being interviewed, she doesn't say that. That's just your junk. That's your scarcity mentality that you're interjecting into this biography. But I will say, his older stuff that's not on trend, where he's writing about historical figures,
it's very good.
Those are really good.
Yeah, I agree. And there's lots of different ones to choose from. So that leads us to the action plan, not just trying to manifest it into existence, the action plan for your abundance mindset reset. So we're going to go over several different things that you can deploy immediately. Maybe you want to do a combination of these things to rehab that scarcity mindset into abundance. Number one, have appreciative conversations. Rather than talking about the things that you don't have, try to engage in conversations with friends and family about the multitude of things you do have and what they have Be appreciative. Life is full of abundance. Monitor your complaintometer and have more positive than negative conversations with your prospects, your clients, your friends, and your family.
Now, have is enjoying the weather. Have is your health. Have is the very fact that you're going on a walk today and enjoying, each other's company. Have is the cup of coffee you guys are both having. You guys get it? Have doesn't have to be your new $30,000 Hermes purse.
Well, exactly. Keeping things in perspective. It's something coaching clients will come to the call. Something went wrong. Something went sideways. Tell me 3 things that went right for you in the past day, in the past week. You're recalibrating your mindset.
Well, you and I have conversations like that probably at least one day a week because Grumblebutt, a.k.a. Zoe, may have gotten the better of you in the morning on the school run, and you come home basically, with your butt kicked by our munchkin, and I have to rebuild you. And
you do a great job. We go on a walk and you turn it around and it's all good.
Exactly, because I just have you start noticing the beautiful things. And all of us, if you're alive, guys, you are blessed. If you wake up in the morning and you're looking at the green side of the grass, you are blessed. You have been blessed in the literal sense, and you have beauty all around you.
Exactly. Very well put. Number 2, follow a media-free morning in life. Almost every form of media in some way revolves around cultivating a desire for things that you don't have, which is a key element of the scarcity mindset. Media highlights loss, fear, and anxiety. Why would you voluntarily sign up for that? Instead, curate your podcasts and newsletters to serve your mindset of abundance and of success. It is in your control.
And here's a litmus test. Tim, what are you saying? Oh, we've run into all of this before.
Yeah.
When Julie and I talk about media free, we've had this happen in New York City, in Manhattan. We had some lady that got super pissed off with us when we told her not to read the New York Times or anything else. She was sitting in the front row. She literally had the New York Times sitting on her desk, and she got fumey with us. And so this is what I said, and this is what I'll say to all of you. When you consume something, you're listening to our podcast, you are mentally and emotionally consuming it. When you're watching something, ask yourself, be introspective enough, coach yourself, ask how you're feeling. Are you feeling abundant, excited, happy, rejoiceful, appreciative? Or are you feeling scared, fearful? Are you feeling, scarcity? And you have to monitor that, because most everything that you're going to consume, unfortunately, is designed to make you feel scared, because when you're scared, you're dependent. You want somebody else to solve your problem. The world's problems are too damn big. Vote for me. Guys, get it? So the best thing you can do if you want an instant fix, or at least start on a fix for your mindset issues, is going to be purge all forms of media. Julie, point number 3.
Point number 3, cultivate your generosity and philanthropy. By sharing what you have with others, you begin to see several things. And sharing can be things that could be time, it could be money. Sharing means different things. First, you often feel good about what you've shared. You've improved the other person's life. This gives you an immediate adrenaline boost, keeping you in a positive and abundant mindset. Second, you often don't even miss what you've shared. And third, when you share regularly, the law of reciprocity is on your side, and people will give back to you. You can practice generosity through sponsoring or promoting client events centered around charity. Host a school supply drive, a toy drive, a food drive, or volunteer at a past client's event.
I'll even break it down even farther, Julie. Even if you're not in a financial position to, giving away money, and that's fine. You can make a contribution in alignment with Julie's previous point number 3, by just helping other people. And guess what? You're in a people helping business, so you're already basically in that spot. Real estate agents, good ones anyway, are people helpers. You're solving other people's problems. So get better at solving other people's problems. But also just in life in general, don't go out there and offer free coaching and try to basically do all the rest of it. But you can offer encouragement. You can open a door for somebody. You can let somebody cut in front of you in traffic, or if you live in Puerto Rico, they're going to cut in front of you anyway. I mean,
Right.
The reality of it is there's lots of ways that you can be philanthropic without necessarily having to give money.
Very well put. And there's opportunities every single day. In fact, we did a podcast about this around Thanksgiving. We did a 2-part series about all the different ways you can be giving. All right, number 4, create win-win situations instead of winner-loser situations. One hallmark of the scarcity mindset that we're trying to get away from is that for every winner, there must be at least one loser. Not everyone can win because there's simply not enough to go around. Negotiations in real estate are the obvious application of this. Negotiation means bringing 2 parties together for a mutually beneficial outcome, not trying to kill the other side. So be careful how you operate when you're negotiating. You're trying to get to an acceptable conclusion.
Now, I do want to say that the mindset gurus are going to try to not have you ever use the word competition. Have you noticed that,
True.
dear listener? Those are the people that you need to avoid, because the reality of it is everything in life is you have to compete for it. But that does not mean there's not enough to go around. It just means if you've lost that particular listing, let's say, you learn from that experience and you find out, ask the seller why they hired Bob and not you, and then learn from that, and then don't lose the next one.
And say next.
Right.
Go on to the next
say
one.
next. But don't believe, oh, I have an abundance mindset. I'm just going to don't let the woo-woo sneak into your brain, because you're not going to attract anything to you other than more failure. You're going to have to learn to be competitive. And what is competition? Especially in real estate. Why are certain people rich and other people aren't? It's because they realize that, and they maybe mentally and emotionally already connected the dots. But the more abundance that somebody has in their life, it's from a direct relationship to the number of people that they've helped. So if you're experiencing scarcity, it's because your approach to life is that of someone who believes in scarcity, and thus you're not putting yourself in a position to abundantly help enough other people. That really is the essence of it. So when that guy drives by in that nice car, the idea isn't that he took anything away from anybody. The idea is, think about all the people he had to help to afford that nice car. Think of the business he had to create. Think of the employees he had to hire. Think of all the side stream benefits that came from the fact that he wanted that car. That's abundance.
Very well put. And I think that's a different way than a lot of people think.
It's not, Julie, for sure, but it's not. It's everyone naturally wants to think that way. Mm-hmm. I don't think anybody naturally thinks in a scarcity mindset. I think people are trained to think scarcity.
They're influenced to get there.
And I'll tell you why I know that.
Mm-hmm.
Zoe and her friends.
Yeah.
You ever hear scarcity mindset from Zoe and her friends?
Never. Nope.
Okay. So I think what happens is over time, people are trained to think smaller and smaller and smaller, because societally, politically, all the words.
Yeah, it's learned.
They want you to be in a very small box where you are dependent. And that is the unfortunate truth of what's going on. That is the heart, that and a lack of religion and not enough respect for family and all these other things are the heart of basically what needs to be mended in our society, in our country, and really globally.
Agree. Yeah, 100%. And we can all do our part by getting into that abundance mentality and doing some of these things. So number 5, and we might not get to all of our points today, but number 5, stating that it's too soon to tell will serve you well. You talked about this a little bit on yesterday's pod. Sometimes bad stuff does happen. When it does, the scarcity mindset will often come back to haunt you.
I didn't get that listing because, and then you'll fill up some bullshit.
It's not fair.
It's not fair because that other listing agent, the agent they hired told them a higher price, lower commission. Or she's younger and prettier, or he's older and more handsome, or fill in the blank.
They overpriced it. They gave away this. They gave kickbacks. They did that, and whatever. Okay, well, you've got to instead say it's too soon to tell. Use your affirmations. If it's meant to be, it's up to me. Get back to work helping people. You talked yesterday about if it's something you think is super good, too soon to tell. We'll see how it works out. If it's something that was bad, too soon to tell. That way you're not constantly judging every single thing that happens. And then tell yourself, if it's meant to be, it's up to me. That's you owning it. Next is number 7, and this is a social media problem. Stop comparing yourself to others constantly. In the scarcity mindset, all that matters is how you compare to others. In the abundance mindset, what matters most is how you compare to yourself, how you live out your own ideals in your day-to-day life. Are you on track, ahead, or behind of your goals for yourself this year? Do you have goals? Maybe you need to get into coaching.
That is not the antithesis of being competitive. If somebody beats you, it beats you in professionally, personally, socially. If somebody beats you, you got to go and figure out why so you can improve. So understand what Julie's saying is you do naturally have to compare yourself to others so that you can get better. But what she's also telling you is, first of all, don't believe anything that's on social because it's all mostly contrived. But don't allow if you constantly are comparing yourself to others, and you're not really understanding why here's this agent who's 25 years old, and I just watched a video of him on Instagram, and he's driving a new Ferrari, and I've been in the real estate business for 20 years, and I can barely afford my, whatever it is. That type of thinking is going to erode your confidence, because what you didn't know wasn't his Ferrari. There's a really funny story. It made its rounds maybe a year ago, but maybe you didn't come across this. In LA, somebody set up a studio where influencers, air quoting, could go and sit on a real set in a warehouse of a fake jet. So you have all of these social media influencers that were standing in line and paying a ridiculous amount of money to act like they're sitting on a private jet, holding their champagne, balancing their caviar on their big toe. You've seen these posts before? They're fake.
That's what we're talking
So
about.
if you're
here.
comparing yourself to somebody that's doing that, it's going to drive you insane.
That's right. All right, point number 8, a bit more practical here. Keep a gratitude journal. Keep a simple journal where you note at least 3 positive things that happened that day. What are you grateful for? What surprised you? What went exceedingly well? Even tiny victories will accumulate to equal a healthier mindset of abundance and success.
We try to get Zoe to keep a gratitude journal, but I don't think we're doing it well because she always hates doing her gratitude journal because normally we make her do 3 pages in her gratitude journal when she's being snarky, which is, a good 30% of the time. So I think you and I need to reframe
She
how
revolts. I'm grateful for tape.
Yeah, that's
I'm
what she'll
grateful
say.
for my stapler.
I'm grateful for the eraser on my pencil.
Exactly. So, yes, we need to work on that. All right, number 9, don't do this alone. Invest in best-of-class coaching by clicking the link and joining Premier Coaching today. Be around abundance-minded coaches and colleagues. We'll educate you, we'll motivate you, we'll get you into action, we'll keep you in action. And number 10, we'll round this out by realize that having a real estate license is one of your greatest blessings. There's no income cap. There's no boss except for yourself. Coaches at the ready to help you achieve your goals, and your success is in your control.
Yeah, it's an amazing business. We do believe that real estate will forever be one of the greatest entrepreneurial endeavors that all of you guys can absolutely thrive in. But keep your life simple. Keep your approach to success simple. Don't allow yourself and your ego and the influence from other people that are frankly probably not even qualified to be offering you advice overly complicate anything. If you're attracted to things that are ridiculously complicated, a funnel leading to a CRM, leading to a drip campaign, leading to all this, you've got to ask yourself, why giving your energy to that, multifaceted, what's the dihedral? Is that the
I don't know.
what's a multi-headed dragon?
Oh, you asked me too quick.
Yeah.
Just call it a multi-headed dragon.
Okay, the multi-headed dragon. So being attracted to all of that, what does that energy that's going towards mastering that or trying to, what that energy you don't get back, number 1. Number 2, where could you be putting that energy, which would 100% be putting you in a position to help people and make money, which is the whole damn reason you got into real estate in the first place. So your information, or what is scarce truly, is time. That's scarce. No doubt about it. The energy you have every single day is scarce. You have energy every day, but it's not the same level. Most of us have better energy in the morning. All these things. So once you sort of learn how to, I hate this term, but life hack yourself, then you're going to realize that you can get more out of the day. But if you're filling that really incredibly valuable, irreplaceable time with things that are moving you away from being of service to others and helping make money, you can't get that back. And the negative accumulation effect from all of that is going to most certainly result in, if not your failure, your never-ending frustration. So we ask you kindly, listen to yesterday's podcast, listen to today's podcast, listen to all our podcasts. We have thousands and thousands available to you, and really get in sync with the mindset that we believe, our experience has taught us, and experience just personally and with coaching clients, is the mindset that you need to really truly go to the next level because of this market. Guys, thank you for keeping this the number 1 listened to daily podcast for real estate professionals in at least the United States. It's always our pleasure and our honor to be of service to you. Have a fantastic day.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.